In 2026, online dating has become one of the most common ways people meet. Millions of people swipe through apps like Tinder every single day hoping to find a relationship, make new friends, or simply meet someone new. And for the mass majority of users, that's exactly what happened, where every once in a while, a match turns into something far more dangerous. Over the years, there have been countless cases involving stalkers, scammers, predators, and even murderers who use dating apps to target unsuspecting victims. People who appeared completely normal online, only for their real intentions to emerge much later. Today, we'll be taking a look at some of the most disturbing cases involving Tinder criminals. Stories where a simple swipe led to stalking campaigns, home invasions, and in some cases, deadly consequences. As always, if you decide to meet someone new from the internet, please make sure friends or family know where you're going. Meet in a public place whenever possible, and always trust your instincts if something falls or feels off. Anyway, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Our first story involves a man who allegedly turned Tinder into a weapon after his relationship came to an end. The ex who turned Tinder into a weapon, Mike Renney. Imagine opening up your front door and finding a complete stranger standing outside. Not a delivery driver, not a neighbor, a complete stranger. The man looks confused. Then he says something that will immediately send a chill down your spine. I thought you invited me. You tell him he has the wrong address. But he pulls out his phone and shows you messages. Messages containing your name, your phone number, your address. The only problem? You never sent them. At first, it sounds like some bizarre misunderstanding until another man shows up, then another, then another. Soon, complete strangers are appearing outside your house on a regular basis. Some believe you invited them inside, others believe you've given them permission to enter without knocking. And according to police, all of it was being orchestrated by one person, the woman's ex boyfriend. And what makes this story even stranger is the victim didn't even know his real name. The story begins in 2024 when a woman met a man online who called himself Mike Renney. At first, everything seemed normal. He was friendly, attentive, interested in her life. The two began dating and from the outside appeared to have a fairly ordinary relationship. But over time, things started to change. According to investigators, Mike became increasingly possessive. One day, the woman had a male friend visiting her home. Most people would have ignored it, but Mike didn't. Police say he showed up outside her house and repeatedly rang the doorbell. Not 5 minutes, not 10 minutes, not even 1 hour. For nearly 2 hours. Think about how strange that is. Standing outside someone's home, pressing a doorbell, again and again and again. Eventually, a neighbor became concerned enough to call police. But even after that, the relationship continued, at least for a little while longer. Then one morning, everything changed. The woman woke up and discovered Mike had gone through her phone, messages, contacts, private conversations, anything he could find. According to investigators, he then began demanding answers like, who is this guy? Why are you talking to him? Are you seeing someone else? The relationship quickly fell apart and shortly after it ended completely. For most people, that would have been the end of the story. A breakup, it happens. An unpleasant one, but still, a breakup. For Mike, investigators say it was only the beginning, however. Over the next several weeks, he reportedly tried to reconnect with the woman multiple times. Every attempt failed. She wanted nothing to do with him, and then something bizarre started happening. Men she had never began appearing outside her home. At first, it was confusing. Each man had a different face, a different name, a different story, but there was one detail that all had in common. They believed they were there because of her. According to police, each man claimed he had matched with the woman on Tinder. The conversations moved quickly. Before long, they were being given her address and encouraged to come over. The victim was horrified. She didn't even have a Tinder profile, at least not the one these men were describing. Yet, somehow, strangers knew exactly where she lived. At first, it seemed like some kind of prank, But then the messages became more disturbing. Several men later told investigators that they had been informed that the woman enjoyed violent role-play scenarios. Others claimed they had been told that if she said no, she didn't actually mean it. That's crazy. Think about how dangerous that is. These weren't internet comments, these were instructions being given to real people. People who were showing up in real life. One night alone, four different men arrived at her home. Four. Imagine hearing your doorbell ring over and over again, never knowing who might be standing outside or what they've been told. And then things escalated. One man approached the front door after being told the woman was waiting for him inside. According to investigators, he had been told that the front door could be difficult to open. If it didn't open immediately, he simply needed to shove it. So that's exactly what it did. The force shattered part of a glass panel in the door. When the victim confronted him, he appeared confused. He genuinely believed he had been invited. He even showed her the messages he had received, messages she had never sent. Then came another incident, perhaps the most frightening of them all. While the victim was away from home, another man arrived at the property. This time, he actually entered the house. Inside was the woman's teenage daughter, alone. Thankfully, nothing happened, but the man eventually left. But by this point, investigators realized something important. This wasn't just online harassment anymore. The situation had crossed into the real world, and eventually someone could get seriously hurt. Police launched an investigation. The victim told officers about her ex-boyfriend, a man named Renney. There was one problem. Police couldn't find them. No records, no history, nothing. It was as if he didn't exist. Because according to investigators, he didn't. Mike Renney was an alias, a fake identity, a mask, and eventually police discovered the man behind it. His real name was Assad Hussein. What investigators uncovered next painted the picture of someone who had spent a long time hiding his track. Police say Hussein used separate phones to maintain different identities. He allegedly created fake Tinder profiles pretending to be the victim, and also discovered he had taken steps to make himself harder to trace. But despite those efforts, the evidence started piling up. Officers reviewed surveillance footage, vehicle data, telecommunication records, and a pattern began to emerge. According to police, every time the fake Tinder accounts became active, Hussein was nearby, sometimes parked for hours in isolated locations, operating the accounts, sending messages, watching events unfold from a distance. Investigators eventually concluded that the fake profiles were not random acts of harassment. They were part of a campaign designed to target the victim after she ended the relationship. When Husan was finally arrested, he denied everything. He denied knowing the victim, denied creating the Tinder accounts, the allies, Mike Renney, denied being involved at all. But investigators say the evidence told a very different story. After a 9-day trial, a jury found Hussein guilty. Following the conviction, investigators described it as one of the most disturbing stalking cases they had ever handled. It is not difficult to understand why. According to police, at least 18 men were deceived into visiting the victim's home. 18. I don't even know 18 people. And that's only the number. Investigators could identify the true number may never be known. What's perhaps most unsettling about the entire case isn't what happened, but what almost happened. A shattered front door, strangers arriving at all hours, a man entering a home while a teenage girl was alone inside, all because one person refused to accept that a relationship was over. And according to investigators, he came frighteningly close to causing a tragedy far worse than the one he was ultimately convicted for. The man who should never have been free, Daniel Drayton. Imagine being arrested for allegedly choking your girlfriend, then being released on bail, not because the judge believed you were harmless, but because the charges were dropped, but because nobody realized who you really were. Now imagine what happens next. 2 weeks later, a woman is dead. According to prosecutors, that is exactly what happened in the case of Danuel Drayton. And what makes this story so disturbing isn't just the crime itself, it's the number of opportunities that there were to stop it. By 2018, Danuel Drayton was already familiar with police. According to court records, his criminal history stretched back years. There were allegations involving violence, strangulation, violations of protective orders, the kinds of offenses that raise serious concerns when they appear repeatedly. But in 2018, Drayton found himself facing another case. This time in New York, authorities accused him of choking a former girlfriend after she attempted to end their relationship. He was arrested, charged, and brought before a judge. Normally, this would be the point where a judge reviews a person's criminal history before deciding whether they should remain in custody. There's just one problem. According to later reports, crucial records from Connecticut never made it to the court file. The judge didn't see them, the prosecutor didn't see them, even Trayton's public defender didn't know about them. As far as the courtroom was concerned, part of his past simply didn't exist, and because of that, he was released. Not found innocent, released, on bail. At the time, nobody realized how important that mistake would become. 2 weeks later, a woman, we'll call her Samantha Stewart, met Danuel Drayton. Samantha was a 29-year-old nurse living in Queens. According to prosecutors, the two connected through Tinder. Like millions of other people every year, a simple match, a conversation, a date. Nothing about it seemed unusual, at least not at first, according to investigators. Drayton presented himself as charming, normal, the type of person you wouldn't think twice about meeting. And that's exactly what made him dangerous. Because prosecutors say the version of himself he presented online was completely different from reality. The two eventually met in person. They spent some time together. At one point, they even went out for pizza. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary first date. But according to authorities, it ended in tragedy. In July 2018, Samantha was found dead inside her apartment. Prosecutors said she had been raped and strangled. She was 29 years old. As investigators worked to piece together what happened, they quickly focused on one person, Danuel Drayton. But there was another problem. He was gone. According to authorities, after Samantha's death, Drayton fled New York and he didn't leave empty handed. Prosecutors allege he took Samantha's driver's license and even used her credit card to purchase a plane ticket. Then he disappeared across the country. For a moment, it looked like he might get away, but the story wasn't over. A week later, investigators tracked him to California, where they discovered there might made the case even more disturbing. Members of a fugitive task force located Drayton in North Hollywood, and according to authorities, he wasn't alone. Police say they found him holding another woman captive. Think about that for a second. Investigators were searching for him in connection with one woman's death, and when they found him, they discovered another victim. Suddenly, Samantha Stewart's case looked much bigger than a single incident. Authorities arrested Drayton. He remained in custody while prosecutors built the case. Years later, investigators continued uncovering details about what happened before Samantha's death, and one question kept coming up. Could this have been prevented? Remember the paperwork that never reached the judge? The criminal history that wasn't available when bail was set? The records showing prior allegations involving violence and strangulation? Those records did exist, but according to reports, they weren't in the file when they were needed most. As officials later reviewed what happened, many pointed to the same moment, the bail hearing, not because it caused the crime, but because it represented a chance to stop it, a chance that never happened. When Drayton was eventually brought back to New York, prosecutors laid out their case. According to court records, investigators say Drayton admitted meeting Samantha through Tinder. They described how the date began, how they spent time together, and how the encounter turned deadly. And court prosecutors argued that Samantha had been deceived, not by a fake profile, not by a fake identity, but by a carefully crafted image. An image designed to appear trustworthy, normal, safe. The exact opposite of what investigators say they later discovered. Years after Samantha's death, Drayton was formally charged in connection with her murder. For Samantha's family, it marked another chapter in a case that had already stretched on for years. But for many people following the story, one detail remained impossible to ignore. The fact that authorities already had him They had arrested him, they had him charged, they had brought him even into court. And then, because critical information wasn't available, when decisions were being made, he walked back out. 2 weeks later, prosecutors say Samantha Stewart was dead. And that's what makes this case so unsettling. Not just what happened, but how close it may have came to never happening at all. Now, before we end this video, I just want to say rest in peace to all of the victims we talked about today. It's easy to watch stories like these as entertainment, but at the center of every case is a real person whose life was permanently changed by someone else's actions. If there were any verified fundraisers, memorial pages, or resources connected to these cases, I'll have them linked down in the description below. The biggest takeaway from today's video is that not everyone online is who they claim to be. Whether it's Tinder, Instagram, Snapchat, or any platform, it's important to stay cautious when meeting people you've only interacted with through the internet. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, and if you're new here and want to see more videos covering disturbing true crime cases, internet mysteries, and stories from the darker side of the internet, please make sure to subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments which case shocked you the most. Thank you guys for watching and stay safe out there. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.